Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Bigger Warriors 2 in the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. It is great to be with you guys on a Sunday morning. I wanted to kind of do one. I haven't done one for about a week or so. So hope you guys are conquesting yourselves, conquesting things around you, and continue to follow God's purposes for your life to make sure you become the highest value male that you can. So we'll do some shout outs in a second here. I think we'll do a topic, since I want to try to focus a little bit on Sundays, focusing on God a little bit too. Let's focus on exposing evil and narcissistic people through SR. This is Wertpollwert. So we'll focus on it in a second. Let's do some shout outs first. All right, so let me go back to my list a little bit. Mehdy, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Tekkenlegacy, 45 days of this writing, so continue. Great job, my friend. Great job. Keep it up. The Burger King he says how to bounce back after heartache. We may talk about that one more. I like that idea. Chriskoicorp, thank you. Phillips journey, edging cause dopamine. Yes, I do believe so. I think that obviously the best way to go in the long run and to build yourself up to that is what I call the monk mode. The monk mode is, not thinking about women, obviously not edging, anything like that. And I'm in that. I've been in that for a while, so that's a good thing, I think. But certainly, I think for those, as we talked about this before, for those who need to, start and just kind of get step like I did after 47 years of problems, you got to start somewhere. So I think certainly God is going to help you as you start that. So yes, I agree 100%. It does cause dopamine. You don't want to do that. JoJoAces, 250 days. Thank you. Gio the Genius. Thank you. Jennings, my friend. Thank you as well. George bendic. Thank you. Maximus Desimus, 30 days. Thank you. Knowledgeizhell. I don't know if I said that right. 1,924 days. Nice job, my friend. Great job. Keep it up. PSA about semen retention. Yes, we probably need to do it. I think it's important to keep talking about this. Jspeaks, thank you. Johnnie's, thank you. J Hamilton, a year. Congratulations, my friend. Keep it up. Moy Hernandez, thank you. Growing on 2 years testing. Very, very, very good. Nice job. Nice job. So great job, guys. We got people over 1,900 days. I think I'm close to 1,870 or something like that. So it's great to see that. Great to see that. 2 years, 1 year. I think anything you start with is a good thing. And I think it's important to understand that you've got to start somewhere. And this is a lifestyle change. And so it's good to kind of start at that point, whether it's 1 day, 20 days, it doesn't matter. You're going to do it for your whole life anyway if you're really committed to this. All right, so the 3-minute mark. Let's talk about this idea that we mentioned. It's, I got to go back to my title a little bit here. Okay, so it is evil and narcissistic people here. Our person, and I'm trying to think of a person here, is Wertpollwert. So thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. So let's talk about this for a little bit. So we look at people, and once again, I talk about energy. And why is he talking and saying, well, you're going to be able to expose evil and narcissistic people? All right, so again, we'll step back a little bit, warriors, and take a look at the fact that everything around us is energy, in my opinion now. And now this is just my opinion. As we do things, we see things, of course, through our eyes and our senses. Sometimes we see accurate things. Sometimes we don't know what we're really seeing. But it's all energy. You go back to Newton's theory of, you can't create, you can't destroy energy, matter. So all of this is energy. So we give you always an example of the ice cube that melts and, it goes in, evaporates. It goes into a liquid first, then it goes, if it's sitting on there long enough on the burner, it will go ahead and turn into gas. So it just transforms something. So energy will attract energy. And so as you're walking around, all you can think about is yourself as bones, but you can also think yourself as a big part of energy. And so as energy looks at things and you look at how energy is, the important part of energy is the fact that you're able to transmute that and you're able to send those things out. And so as you see people, you'll see some people who are very positive in their energy, and a lot of people on semen retention are positive. They tend to kind of look at life differently. And if you do it as long as some of us have been doing it over, 1900 days, 5 years or so, now you see a different set of life. I look at life totally different now. I am not, the anxiety level is totally gone in most things, no matter what happens, good or bad, and it doesn't really matter. I think you have such a more calming type of influence on yourself and other people because you see life differently. You realize that you're getting closer to God and you're seeing more of the spiritual life. So as you're on retention more, this is my experience, is you see more of a spiritual component. This is why I talk about this a lot. So that wasn't occurring the first 30, 40 days that I did this. But as time has gone on, I understand more of the spiritual battle, that it really is, this whole thing is really about the spiritual battle. So when you go back to evil, I don't know if most people are evil. I would say I think most people are not evil. I mean, I think there's some people who worship Satan, and I think there's probably more than we think there are. But I think, and you can see that through sacrifices and all these cults and things you hear about over the years. But I also think that a lot of people are, because they don't have that faith, because they have not done something like this, like retention, and they have no discipline, no control, and Satan can use things like depression, and they can use things like anxiety and fear, which is what we look at society as, people put out messages for fear to control people all the time. You've seen it for thousands of years, just in different forms. But the thing is, Satan will do that. And so those people, they've been brainwashed or they've been taken over by the evil one. And because they're not strong and they maybe have had no faith or doesn't recognize God, or maybe they've been influenced by other things. Remember, in my opinion, and I've told this to the Vigor Warriors kids, you got to serve somebody. And I remember hearing that long, long time ago. You got to serve somebody. You either serve the Lord, or your creator, or you serve yourself. And so somebody's got to be served. And so you'll see, that's why we had idols back in the old days. People had idols. They still have idols. They just call them different things now, whether you're talking about sports or drugs or celebrities or people. We have our idols, but no person can be an idol. And no figure can be an idol. It has to be some creator that has a higher being than you do. And if you can't recognize that, then I think then you're stuck in the idea that you're all that matters and you are the person. But because of that, and to me, that's where there's a lot of this starts, is that you don't have that belief in God. You believe in. So now, as you're able to, as you live more with your energy, Satan can use that to have you do things that are not so good. Or, once again, you're focusing on you, and Satan is using that to become more self-centered, and so those people become very narcissistic and evil. And so there's a real combination with people who are very much wrapped into themselves, and whether they do it because they've had a bad childhood, and it's perhaps because they're defending themselves, survival mode, and so they get angry, lashing out at people because they've had to be sensitive. The idea really is that there's no, in my opinion, no excuse for that. I mean, we like to be a victim in victim mode, and yeah, we had a bad childhood. I had a bad childhood, but there's no reason why you can't change those things as time goes on, and you become more of a high value male. Obviously, following God's purposes, obviously following His word, and getting to the point where you understand that you have a purpose here. You can't just look at things as having pleasure all the time. That sets you up real well for the evil one, who can come in and brainwash you and basically have you do a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing. So as we look at this, it is, and I think you make a very good point, when you're a beacon for strength and a beacon for proper use of energy, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't get involved in all these behaviors because you're trying to work on yourself, improving yourself, you are going to expose a lot of people. And as we've talked about this a few times before in videos and on this channel, when you talk about going into high levels of retention, as you guys go into this more, you're going to see two types of people for the most part. you're going to see those people, and this is including both men and women, you're going to see men and women who, love and are highly attracted to you. Women in the case of, more of a physical energy attraction. Men respect you, and so they will respect you and work with you because they also want to be around that energy, but just in a different way. And, you're going to have people then who are the opposite, who see you because you're doing something that they should be doing. They know that down deep. I think the guilty conscience is where the problem is for a lot of people, and some people still have that. Now, there are some people who are totally, you call them evil, but I think it's because they've lost their conscience. They've lost their soul. And the Bible talks about that a lot, that you can lose your soul. And I think that happens. This is why you got Sodom and Gomorrah and Babylon and the Roman Empire. All these things fell because people got in so much depravity and so many sins and evils that they basically just kind of lost their soul. And this is what happens. If you have a guilty conscience about something you did, that's a great thing, because that's God, I think God telling you that this is something that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. And so I can't tell you how great I feel right now over the last 5 years working on this and just seeing such a different type of behavior. And I guess that goes back to the whole idea is, do you really need to have pictures? Do you really need to kind of release at all? Unless you're doing procreation. I find that it's not something that's really something I even think about anymore, to be honest with you. I think as you get into a certain pace, you realize that that's not that important in life. I know it's kind of crazy to say, because I was in the opposite end of that, where that's all I thought about half the time, back in all those years. And I also say, as you get older, obviously you look at different life a little bit differently as well. And so for you young guys, I'm not downplaying this at all. I mean, it is a real issue and a hard issue for a lot of people in their 20s and 30s, especially, controlling this behavior. But if you can get to the point of saying, okay, God, I love, and I can look outside here and look at the great trees and look at the grass and look at the beautiful sky and all that kind of stuff in the Midwest. It's a beautiful setting, and I think that once you start looking at life differently and not just focusing on women, you look at life in a whole different way. And that's one of the ways to combat the evil one. If you don't do these things to put you in situations, you're not going out to the bars, you're not going out to wild places and doing wild things and staying up late at night watching all these kind of movies and everything, you're not going to get yourself into that mentality where you look at life like that. And so I think that there's a great point bringing out it, but you're going to find these people are going to come after you one way or the other. They're not going to be happy with the way you are, and they'll either leave you, or they'll basically try to make life hard for you. But again, what I've experienced is, now this is almost, 5 years now, we're talking about 5.25, almost 3.53 years. You're talking about, I don't really, it doesn't bother me. This is a whole different person that I've become with this. I used to be nervous, and even 5, 6, 7 years ago, which is why I decided to go monk mode and just forget it. So when I started doing videos, it was because I went monk mode, and I decided, okay, this is a tremendous difference, tremendous difference when you're sitting there and realizing, okay, life is not, a lot of things we look at, material things, especially people, even material things, we look at not that important. It's interesting. I go back and once in a while, YouTube's got some nice, some people have taken some old films back in the 1930s and 20s and 40s around the country, and they've colorized them. And so it's nice. Let's go back to see that. And it's very interesting watching the people. It's not that much different. People may have different cars, and I love gas stations, so they had all the old gas stations on there in the 20s, 30s, and 40s in different places like Chicago and California and New York and Boston and LA as a California. And so when you look at that, it's just great. It's interesting to see, but what you see is that people are the same. In the 20s and 30s, people don't change. I mean, they act the same. Those things change. The styles may change, the hairstyles, all that kind of stuff, but people are still the same. And so those still behaviors are still around. And so if you're living the kind of life where, God is happy with the way you are, you're not going to run into this issue. You're going to run into some, life is not going to be easy and perfect, of course. But you're not going to put yourself in positions where the evil one can actually just come after you. That was happening to me all those years. The more you do something, the more you're into the pictures or things like that, in a mind, you become addicted to that stuff. And this is what the problem is. The addiction is the problem because the devil's trying to pull you away from your creator, from your God. And so because of that, he's going to go ahead and, try to pull you away. So here, it may start off with one picture and, I'm releasing to the one picture, or it start with, and now I need to have something else. It's not that I can't release with the same picture, so I'm going to do something else. And now you become with people and all this. And this is where you look at serial killers, and most of them started with pornography, and they couldn't control, and then they went to different things, and all of a sudden they had to, get the same thrill, the excitement. But why? What if you had the thrill, as I'm experiencing now, of just living every day, which loving what I'm doing? I mean, I'm just so much more at peace than I was 5 years ago, and I think that makes a huge difference. But you're going to expose. I mean, the evil one does not like this at all. I mean, he's not going to like this. But you're protected by God, and I think again, the more you do this, the more you'll see that you're moving towards God. I mean, I see this even after 5 years, moving towards him. I'm moving away from the materialistic of the world and the evil one and all that kind of stuff. And this is really an important lesson, because I think sometimes, and I see this on the channel, a lot of you guys like the discussions about women and all that kind of stuff. And of course, I'm not, I'm saying you have to have a high sexual nature, and that's great. That's how we do things. But if you're able to transmute that stuff, and you're able to focus on other things besides women, you become a great male, and female too, but you become a great male and a high value male. And don't worry about the women. Don't worry about the success. That's going to come because you've changed. People see that. And I see also what happens is that you get people in your life for a certain reason. And I always say that your self-confidence comes from the people you hang around with at that moment. And so those are the people that are influencing your self-concept, your concept and your self-confidence. You change that and you become different. And I did that when I was younger, when I was negative and pessimistic and all that kind of stuff. And I changed myself through, different types of things, counseling, different things over the years. And I found the problem was me. Once I changed my attitude, all of a sudden everything changes around you. So the more you can do this, the more you can focus on retention. And it goes back to self-control. The more you get focusing on self-control, you're not putting things in your body that are bad. You're not focusing on things that are addictive type qualities. And we all have them. I mean, my case is right now, it's more of a sugar type of thing that I'm overcoming, and just the carbs and the sugar. So I'm getting better with that. But, it used to be a lot of other things over the years. And so I think once you're able to do that, but again, remember, it takes 21 days to build a habit. So you cannot go back to the other stuff. And this is the fear you should have. This is a good fear that you should not be going. And this is when we talk about the fear of the Lord. People should have the fear of the Lord. You do not want to go back and start those habits again. And that's the thing you do. So anyway, but the evil one is always going to attack, and you can bring those out. And narcissistic people, again, I didn't talk too much about narcissistic people, but those people are very self-centered. They want pleasure. They want things. They become their own God. And so this is something you have to really avoid at all costs. Those are the people who are easily taken advantage of by Satan, because they want pleasure, and they're going to get pleasure, but they're also going to cost. They're going to lose their soul. And you got to, you can try to help those people, but really those people need to come to some understanding themselves before they can do that. So, all right, my friends. Well, anyway, Wirt, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. That's a great topic, and for a Sunday morning, and I hope that you guys got something out of it. So, all right. So until next time, guys, 2 things in this beautiful Sunday morning. First, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And you guys are all great warriors, and I love doing this, and I appreciate that a great deal for you guys being with me. Appreciate all the comments, donations, those type of things. I think I've been so wrapped up and busy in other things and teaching and helping young people that I don't get a chance to kind of focus on doing more with this, but I will. So I will. I'm going to stick with it until my last days. So no matter what it is, you always see something, whether it's YouTube or one day going to a different type of place that we can go. I will keep doing this because I think the message has to keep going out. We've got to get back to men being men, and I think it's important to focus on retention control as being part of that. And secondly, I didn't forget the second one. We've got to continue to focus on getting away from these people that hurt us in many ways, because they're just giving the evil one a way in to kind of focus and take us away from the main goal. And that's the main goal, is serving God and focusing on your Creator. So, all right. And so because of that, we've got to put our helmet on, we've got to put our shield on, and we've got to continue to battle on! God bless you guys. Have a great Sunday, and we'll talk soon.